Whoa, dude, the light there. My God, getting a weird optical illusion with that light. I can't describe it. Yeah. So wherever I was going, you probably know, right? Because you can read my mind. Great thing about dealing with people, cognitive biases, people. So here's the thing. How do you sell something to somebody? Well, here's the thing. Here is this thing. Timba. Oh, crap. He's going upstairs. Bye. I miss you. I love you. You don't care about me. Jerk. If the Jedi and the Sith all got along, they'd probably strike me down just like Obi-Wan. It seems like the whole galaxy against me. When I'm down on Tatooine, I hear arr, 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 arr. What's up, y'all? This is the Gigo and Nico show, starring Gigo and not Nico. Oh, he's busy. He's busy again. He is busy again, so it's just gonna be me. If that's a good thing for you, maybe your favorite episodes is the one that just me. Obviously, why wouldn't it be? He. Because I can rhyme. Okay. So what is the topic for today? I don't know. I mean, what I could do is just go through Google Trends and see what are people talking about. That way I can hit up exactly what's going to work. So let's look. Maybe that's going to be the topic. Google Trends. Do. All right. Except I'm going to skip anything that gets political. Yeah, political. Political. You know why, guys? You know why I'm not going to do political shit? Because I don't follow it. I avoid the news. The fake news. And guess what? News has been fake way before Mr. Trump used it as a platform to ward off people talking about him. Yep. Before then, you had crazy shit. Like, let's see. What's a good example? The Vietnam War. There was a article. Oh my God, there's a little white thing just floating in front of my eyes right now. It's so small. Is it like the very end of a spider web that's just sitting there, floating in front of my face? Yeah, it's hanging from the ceiling. Whoa. Anyway, so the Vietnam War was pushed because of a fake article about a ship that got destroyed by Vietnam soldiers or whatever. An American ship that got destroyed, which became a huge push. Boom. Became a huge push. And that's how they were able to inspire a bunch of people to go over there, along with the whole communist thing. Blah, 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 blah. Obviously, the communists are bad. I don't know why. Well, the British probably think that's terrible British, but the British probably don't like communism either. Oh, by the way, guys, not an actual sponsor. We are not officially advertising them. Please do not take it. This is simply me drinking the product. But I'm drinking Guaki Yerba Mate again. Great company. Great company. And they actually, some of the profit that they get from their product actually not profit, revenue that they get from their selling their product actually goes to helping the rainforest and paying for not only the cultivation for yerba mate and like making sure that's okay, but also the trees. Yes, the trees that are being taken down to make houses for human beings. Isn't that weird, people? Isn't that weird? Okay. So you have that with Vietnam. And then you got to wonder the conspiracy theory, which is real, of Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor wasn't made up, but what if ignoring Pearl Harbor was caused by the idea that we ought to go to war? We've been putting off war, quote unquote, but maybe it was strategic. We were waiting for how far the war was going to... I mean, okay, so Japan attacks us, and we start a fight with Japan. But think about it. Why'd we go to Germany? There's probably a reason, and I just don't know history. But why'd we go to Germany? Just because Japan bombed us. It was probably the submarines that were being attacked by the German Nazi submarines. But is that maybe we're just holding off until we could come in and just gajoon and take everything out? Because that's what we do. We come in last second and take everything, and that's how we win. Wasn't that how we did it in the First World War? Maybe. I might be wrong. But yeah, that's how we do. And maybe Pearl Harbor was... We had the knowledge that an attack could happen, but we conveniently said, maybe it won't. Maybe it won't happen. Which doesn't necessarily make sense, because you could still provide people with the ability to fight Pearl Harbor. But I mean, on one hand, you won't have as many deaths, and you need deaths in order to convey that message of the importance of a situation. But on the same hand, you could still say Japan deliberately attacked us when they were talking about peace talks. So, who knows? And maybe, I wonder, could that happen? Let's not get political, people. I wonder if that could happen with North Korea. Not saying that it would. North Korea is a weird case, because on one hand, it's ran by a tyrant who is abusive to its people, but at the same time, if you take away that aspect and just focus on... Imagine if it was a good country that just stayed isolated. I've always thought that they want to show up on the big boy table, basically. They want to have nuclear weapons, just like other countries that have nuclear weapons. They want to be included in the UN, right? They want to be there. They want that economic, not only economic, but international relations with other countries. They've always felt bullied by other countries because they weren't allowed to be the big dogs. And we've always thought, like, okay, no, they're evil. They want to create war. They want to destroy. But it's more like they just want their position established. Tim. Oh yeah, Tim's here. Tim. What's up, Tim? Yeah, he heard something. I hope he doesn't go upstairs. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so North Korea, that they don't necessarily are such bad guys, but they want to have their position in an international field, which makes them scary, because we are not allowed to have tyrants besides the tyrants we already have or we put into power to be tyrants. So yeah, there you go, North Korea. But you also have the article or articles, because everything gets like rehashed through other sources and other news outlets will take what was was written by one source and apply it to their own source, so then they can explain what's going on, even though that might not be true, such as chemical weapons in Iraq, right? Did that exist? No. And of course, rationalization. I do the same thing. So I can't talk too much because I'll come up with a personal reason not to do something. And then I'll think, that's not a good enough reason. Is there a better reason? And usually I find a better reason that I should have seen before, but I didn't. I didn't see that very good reason before, and then suddenly there it is. A very good reason that I should have seen, but I didn't see, and now I see because I had to come up with my own personal reason. So I'm going to sound stupid here, but I had to go to an interview with something, and the idea was to dress professionally. And I was like, I don't have the clothes. I'm a poor guy who's trying to get money off my podcast. So I'm a poor middle class white male. So I was trying to, so I don't have necessarily the clothes to seem too professional or that professional as I should be. But I was like, that's a stupid reason to not show up to this interview. Oh yeah, that's the point. I didn't go to the interview. I was like, that's a stupid reason. That's selfish. Maybe show up not dressed professionally and but act so professional that they look past it. Or maybe dress professionally but in clothes that don't really fit, so it looks like I tried, even though I failed, because I don't have, but they understand because I don't have any money, because I don't have the job at the moment, people. I'm working on it. But this is the ADHD mind. It loses track once it jumps off the fucking wagon. It's like, where am I? And then it comes back. So yeah, is that a good enough reason to not show up? No, it's not a good enough reason. I can come up with a better reason. And then I thought, okay, why should I not show up? Oh, that makes sense. Why would you, in the place that we work, the place that I'm from, which I'm not going to reveal, but the place that I'm from, more often, people are going to not dress professionally. This isn't, all right, I'm going to reveal a little. This isn't New York. I'm not from New York. I'm not from Manhattan. That's a terrible accent, maybe. So I'm not from those places. I'm from a different place where we don't dress as super professionally. We're more laid back. We're more business casual, and even the top level executives are going to dress in suits more often. But they don't wear suits all the time. And unless they're, at a place where they need to wear a suit, they're not going to be dressed in a suit. They're going to be dressed in business casual. So this position is, so if you're, say, an attorney or a doctor, what you need to do is dress super professionally. If any of you guys are fans of Suits, there's a great line in Suits where Mike is like, why does it matter the way I dress? Because Harvey wants him to get a 3-piece, like $2,000 suit. And Harvey says, because people respond to how you're dressed. So like it or not, this is what you have to do. Now, here's the key to this. Harvey is a defense attorney. So what his clients don't really have too much say in what goes on. They don't deal with the in and out business of what he's doing in order to protect them. Sure, he has to talk about them. Say another corporation offers a deal for a product to buy it out, and the deal is too low. They're lowballing because they know instead they can lowball the product, or they could buy all the shares and own the company and then take the product anyway. So they're trying to offer off the guy. It's complicated. So they're trying to offer that to the guy, and he has to present the deal, the different options that the other corporation who wants to buy the product offers. And he has to do that. But here's the thing. He deals with the ins and outs. There's even one point that a patent wasn't filed in time. A patent. So Harvey gets a call from the guy who made the product, who should have got the patent, but it wasn't filed in time. And he's freaking out over the phone like, oh my God. And Harvey goes, okay, remember when you were freaking out 6 months ago? And remember what I said? Yeah, you told me to calm down, let you handle it. And I'm going to handle it now. It's the same. But Harvey, goodbye. And then he hangs up. Why? Because Harvey deals with the ins and outs of what's going on. If you're doing that, then you dress professionally. Even out here where you don't dress professionally, if you are the one who you have to show that you're professional because you do what's supposed to happen. But here's the difference. The thing I was applying for is business to business sales. And if you can't, and that, what is it? It was consulting. And the thing about consulting is if you just tell them what they need to do, it sounds good up until the point that that you realize, and they realize, each company is different. So you can't apply the same principles, not the same principles. You can't apply the same strategies and techniques and tactics that works for all these other businesses for this one. A brewery is going to be different than a tech business, which is going to be different than a purely manufacturing business. It's all going to be different. A small business to a corporation, it's going to be different. The amount of capital you have going to be different. So you need to be able to empathize with your client. If you can't empathize with your client, you're not going to get ahead. This is now becoming a sales podcast and a business podcast. Yes. Well, me looking for a sales job lately has turned me to thinking about business again. I've always read about it, and I've always researched it, and I have some experience with it. But now I'm rethinking and relearning a lot of the things that I learned before. So yeah, you have to empathize with your client. You have to meet them at that level. And if you're living in a place where people are going to show up to a meeting dressed business casual, you don't want, and you're supposed to empathize with them, you don't want to show up business professional. You don't want to show up with the top suit unless you're going to be their lawyer. If you're their lawyer, yeah, you want to have a really good suit on and be like, hey, I know what I'm doing. You can relax. The other people, right? A business consultant is like, tell me how you are. Tell me how you live. And then, because you understand them and they understand you, you can create the right plan for them. If it's consulting, of course. But it applies to anything, especially in sales, where you definitely have to empathize in sales. This is not going to be a funny episode. This is not going to be a funny episode. What is wrong with you, Gigo? God! So yeah, it's not going to be a funny episode, I guess, except for that line. So yeah, in sales, you have to definitely be more interpersonal and be able to empathize with people. So let's say I'm in New York and I'm in Manhattan. That's where you want to empathize with people by dressing in a fucking suit, because you're going to deal with suits. That's what you're going to deal with. And if you're going to be consulting with suits, you got to dress up just as nicely as the people you're working with. And there's exceptions, if let's say you're dressed business casual and the person shows up in a business suit, now that sucks. On the other hand, if you're in a suit and they dress business casual, same thing. It's like, man, I'm going to connect. You can still connect in that situation. You can still connect. You just have to work in a different way. And you can adjust, right? Guy shows up in business casual, you just turn yourself business casual, right? You loosen your tie, you take off your jacket, maybe take off your tie to speak, You showed up in a suit, you're going to leave in a suit, right? Remember to put your suit back on. But when you talk, right, you're going to sit down and we're going to discuss business on a, level to level. And then the change, this is crazy. Often a huge aspect about influence and understanding people is the changes. And it has a lot of power. If not more power, you could even have more persuasion and empathy and connection with somebody by changing from your position to meeting them. So let's say, I don't do this. This is kind of disturbing. But let's say you're trying to manipulate somebody or trying to be above somebody to have power over them. You can do that thing where you're literally higher than them. They are lower than you, and you're trying to gain height over them to impose. And at the beginning, you're imposing. And then when you see that they're like, they feel that imposing subconsciously, and it's like they're backing up to try to let you have the power or whatever, then you drop down to their level because you notice that they feel that way, and then you drop down, and then it's suddenly about empathy. Kaboom. Because here's the thing. If you make people feel bad, then they're less, you can end up making somebody do a specific thing, but what you made them do makes them feel bad. And if they feel bad, they're not gonna comply later. They might rebel at some point. They might try to get out of it. They might not work as hard. There's so many problems. So if you impose yourself and demand, you'll get some compliance, but you have to make that change. And that change is so important. From empowering, from being powerful over them to being on their level. So you literally drop down to their level rather than being physically higher than them. And by dropping down to their level, boom, you can... Nom, nom, nom. My mouth is dry. I'm going to drink some yerba mate, people. Mouth less dry. All right. Even though caffeine is gonna dry you out. Why? It's diuretic, not diuretic. It's a diuretic. It makes you pee. So, where is I going with this? I'm always losing track of my brain. I'm insane to the membrane. Whoa, dude, the light there. My God. Getting a weird optical illusion with that light. I can't describe it. Yeah. So wherever I was going, you probably know, right? Because you can read my mind. Great thing about dealing with people, cognitive biases, people. So here's the thing. How do you sell something to somebody? Well, here's the thing. Here is this thing. Timba. Oh, crap. He's going upstairs. Bye. I miss you. I love you. You don't care about me. Jerk. If anybody's up there, if you could close the door, that'd be much appreciated. So, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, if you want to sell something, what you do is like this. People hate losing more than they like to win. That is a cognitive bias that many people share. And so how do you do this? Instead of telling people how your product is going to benefit them by adding to their life, you explain to them how not having a product That's key. Not your product, a product or a product of your sort they're going to miss out by not having it. Oh, geez, I'm burping. They're going to miss out by not having said product. And then you tell them why. And then a bigger thing, another cognitive bias that people have is that if somebody else is winning, they feel like they are losing. So, how does that work in this position? So you're explaining how they're going to miss out. You also explain how their competition or even their factors. So like, let's say you're selling a security system, not a security system, like a antivirus thing. You could tell them that to a business to business, their competition is going to have one of these kinds of products, maybe not from your company, but from some company, and it's going to work for them. And their systems are not going to go down, which means their customers are not going to be as annoyed. Unlike your customers who are going to feel like shit. And then that means somebody else is winning. I mean, and the weird thing with people think that if somebody else is winning, they're losing. It works even when it's not connected. Even if them winning has nothing to do with them losing, they will feel like they're losing because they are winning. And it's even more so when it is connected, like this situation where it is the competition who is being like, how do you say it? The competition is going to win the customers that you now can't have because they got a product, a similar product, or even your product. So that creates two things. I'm going to miss out and somebody's going to win if I don't get a product. Now, here's the thing that's going to come to their mind. If they're not sold on that, they're stupid. But if they are sold on that, what they're going to do is wonder, why should I trust you and or your product and or service? Well, then how do you say? Okay, so you have two sides. And let's use the analogy of cars. On one hand, you have the people who don't know shit. They need a car because they know it's a car, but they don't know what the fuck goes into a car. They don't know about handling. They don't know about... I mean, I'm not even in this group. I know a little bit more. This is like even below me. This is like grandma who lived in New York and never had a license. Suddenly lives in Chicago and needs to drive and doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And it's not... Okay, do not go against the sexes. This could apply to a grandpa too. I just know that in your mind you understand the stereotype. Okay. And then, so yeah, grandma doesn't know anything about cars. So your pitch, your marketing and your pitch, you want to figure out how that's going to work with them. How you're going to convince them to go after your product. Once you figure out what's going to work with that through different testing, like A and B testing, blah, 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 blah. Then you move over to the gearheads who know a shit ton about cars. Then that pitch that works with the simplified people is likely going to work with the other people because it's all lovey-dovey, because everybody is like that. Everybody is emotional. The gearheads don't stop being emotional. They still make emotional purchases, even in the cars. You know, they're going to find out what cars are best. But let's say you got two cars that function exactly the same, but one of them their daddy used to own, like an earlier version. They're going to go with the car that their daddy owned. So the same thing is going to work with them. But some things that work with the simple people or the people who don't know shit is not going to work with these guys. So you have to pull out certain elements. Just, pinpoint just what are the elements that are going to put off the gearheads. Then, here's the thing. The gearheads are, once the gearheads they want to continue forward, you want to make it easy to lift up the hood and tell them the technical shit. In a sales meeting, what that would mean it's the same pitch, right? The pitch you would sell to the other people. Yeah, so the pitch that you end up with is the pitch that would mostly work with the people who don't know shit, mixed in with the things that you've taken out that that the gearheads, right, the top level people are going to find, or the people who know their shit a little of your product, is not going to find attractive. The little things. Then once either one of those groups is like, oh, I'm interested, can I know more? In a sales position, my idea is that you come back later. When it comes to, say, what is it called? A sale, like, what's the fucking word? It starts with an E, I think, or a P. Yeah, so basically when somebody does a purchase, like, off the bat, right? They show up to the website, oh, this is cool, and then they click, and then they go to the shopping cart, put their info, click again. That's when you want them to go through really fast. Boom, boom, boom. You want them to get through there really fast. You don't want them to stop, because if they stop, don't get through, it's going to suck. And part of that is web design. That's a huge part of it. And basically, like, let's say you have blue and white through most of the website. You want to make your, not PPC, PCP, angel dust. No, you want to make the point where there's a word for this, but the point that you click to actually sale in red. You want it red with white coloring. I don't know. So then their eyes get attracted to just being like, click. So you move forward, which is not to say you want to exploit your customers or make them feel like shit. You want to have all the info and have a good website, but you want to make them go through as quickly as possible. So then, but then when you're making a sale, when you talk to somebody and you're trying to convince them one-on-one, that's when you go slower. So then it feels like they're entering your family and you're teaching them into your group. So then let's say they're interested into your pitch. You bring in the nerd, right? And be like, all right, I see you guys are interested. Let me come back tomorrow and bring one of my nerds here. And then you bring in the nerd, and the nerd knows the ins and outs of your product. But you ask the nerd, instead of only talking about how their product works, try to teach them how any product of that service or product works. The ins and outs of what goes into a product. In the same manner as you did before with a product. Except you add in why your product works better. Like blah, blah, blah. This is how this product works, blah, blah, blah. Some companies have only 6 gigabytes, but we offer 12 instead. Right? You're still you're adding in why yours is better, but mostly you're teaching them how a product works. And that's part of the pitch that works too. So let's say the gearheads, for the pitch, the gearheads get impressed. What you want is to make it easy for them to lift up the hood and see the technical stuff that's underneath. And you have a shitty project that the gearheads don't want to buy, like a shitty car they're going to be put off on, then you're already shit out of luck. So this kind of thing, this kind of pitch and marketing actually forces the company to make a good product. So the salesman and the marketing team can actually work on said product and sell it. Because if you sell a shit product, people just don't want to buy it. So you lift up the hood, and now the gearheads are like, wow, you got a good car. I'm sold. Let me buy it. And here's the wonderful thing. What happens is the simple people also are going to get that same hood lift. Ooh, I don't know shit about cars, but you really interest me with this shit. What else is in it? You lift up the hood. Now you lift up the hood and you teach them, you walk them through the ins and outs, even if it goes over their head. You're not trying to go over their head, but it might go over their head because they don't know shit. But what's going to happen is they're going to be impressed that it's like, In The Hangover. I remember reading. If you guys seen The Hangover, when Alan is counting cards, there's a bunch of calculations, a bunch of formulas that happen above his head. And I remember reading, I might be wrong, or whoever wrote this is wrong, but a lot of the formulas that are around his head have nothing to do with counting cards. Like they're just up there. They're just up there to seem complicated. But let's say you don't know that. You're going to think like, wow, he's really going into it. It seems really complicated. Like he really went into what he's doing. Same thing with, lifting the hood to the people who don't know shit. They're going to feel like you really know the ins and outs of your product, and you really took the time to make sure everything, which you did, right? You're not, again, I say, because it's so calculated, I keep using the word, you make them seem, right? It's just because it's calculated and you can apply it to any sales. But in reality, this stuff is not false. None of this is false information. You were legitimately telling the right information. You're just calculated on on your approach. So you really did look at all the technical stuff is really the hard work that the company put into the product or service. And you're just showing them that you went into that work. The other thing is if you teach them, it feels like they're becoming part of the family. They're entering, you're bringing them in. You know how Kennedy, if I remember, Kennedy won an election because what he did was, what did he do? Oh, he offered like, oh, this is a tie clip. Or this is a pen. I think it was a tie. No, yeah, it was a tie clip. It is like, hey, if you vote for Kennedy, you get this tie clip. And on one lesson, it's like you ask for a favor, which is what it works in every not industry, in every level. Basically, if you ask somebody, the Ben Franklin effect, you want to make a friend, ask for a favor. If you want to do stuff, ask people for the favor. Right? Just ask. They could say no, they might have reasons to say no. And if they say no, they say no. I mean, you want to get past no, and you also want to read that book, but you want to get past no because you don't want to leave it at no, especially if there's a reason that isn't a good reason for them to say no and you want to like convince them. But most of the time it's like, all right, you're saying no. That's fine. But do me this favor, and yeah, because it'd be nice for you to do me this favor. And a lot of times people want, the other thing that happens when you ask for a favor, especially in politics, but in the same thing, in the sales analogy or techniques or whatever strategy, what you do is they get involved. So the tie clip was important because people could wear it, and they could say, hey, I'm part of this team. I'm voting for Kennedy. I'm part of the process. And they can show off like, yes, it's me. I'm here. I'm important. Basically, you're doing the same thing by teaching them how the thing works by lifting up the hood. You're saying, now you're going to understand how this works. You're going to be part of the people who understand how this works. You're going to be special. Everybody likes feeling special. And because they feel special, they're like, ooh, I feel special. And then they'll buy. And then the gear. Oh, here's another thing. When the gearheads buy, the less popular kids are going to want the same kind of shoes. So the social proof of the gearheads is going to help. It's going to help influence, like the influencers. It's going to help influence the people who don't know shit. And the wonderful thing is, what you get in the middle is everybody else. Right? I know a little bit more than the people who don't know shit. I know how handling works. I know how turn radius, which I think is part of handling, turn radius works. I know how cool air filter works. I know that shit, but I don't know everything. I don't know the ins and outs of how an engine works and this and that, and what goes into gear shifts and shit. But I'm a little bit higher. but I would still fit in. I would still fit in. I know a little bit more, and this strategy works on the extremes, so it's going to help work with the average person. You don't want to find out how things work on the average. You want to aim to figure out how things work on the extremes. The people who don't know shit and the people who know everything. And you're just introducing them to why yours works and why they should go with you. All right, some more yerba mate, people. That's the end of that can. I can that can. So that's and that becomes your pitch. Now, let's say the thing about the same thing of on a website, you want to get them through as quickly as possible. You'll end up doing the same thing if somebody cuts you off in a sale. So let's say you tell them, oh, you should trust my product and go with my product because this. And they're like, hey, I'm sold. You don't have to, oh, fuck the fucking fuck. God damn it. All right, you hear that? That's the air conditioning going. So I'm gonna stop this up pretty quickly. So, or pretty soon here. So what happens is this. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck, what was I saying? Shit. Now you're gonna hear the air conditioning. Do you feel air conditioning on the other end of this? You better. Even if you're in the freezing cold. Our fans in Antarctica that we don't really have. Our fans in Antarctica. You know, if you're enjoying this, I hope you feel colder because of the air conditioning. So yeah, let's say they cut you off and it's like, all right, I want to get to sale. Get through there as quick as possible. Just like on your website, you want to get them as quick as possible. Because you don't want to give them time to say, I'm gonna readjust my idea. No. You want to get them through as quick as possible at the very end. So, that is the business strategy of selling, mates. Was that like, I don't know what. One day I'm going to learn these fucking accents and provide you guys with like actual good accents. Because this shit is really bad. I'm not pretty good at this shit. So, there you go. This was the Gigo and Nico show, the business edition, apparently. With some conspiracy theories and opinion on North Korea, apparently, for some reason. So there you go. I hope you guys had a good time, and I hope we had a good time, and I hope this good time is a good time. And, alright, I'm logging off. See you later. Bye. Jaja. Ciao.